Now we're going to look at getting a little extra life out of Anatu's effects section by using LFOs and other modulation sources, if you like, to automate some of the parameters that are sat here that don't necessarily leap out. I know when I first got my hands on the particularly the distortion section, often you have this feedback and pitch section. Now, actually, I kind of like these sort of strange atonal sounds that it makes, but they're pretty sort of specialist. They can either be used to just kind of add a grungy tone into stuff, but they don't have a kind of an instantly obvious use, I found, in a lot of cases. However, that changes when you start using LFOs to sweep them, particularly this little section here, but obviously you can sweep anything in the effects. So we're going to quickly look at a few things that you might want to automate, and then from there, of course, have a mess yourself. Now, first thing I'm going to mention, because I like your speakers, is you see this feedback here. On some of the effects, it goes into massive overdriving self-oscillation and incredibly loud once you pass the 50% point here. On others, it's only when you get up to 100. So when you switch between these effects, make sure you've got an eye on that feedback setting, because if it goes too high, you will get a howl, okay? So please note that. If in doubt, pull the feedback down to 0 before you switch across. So we've got I'll just turn this off a second. So we've got that analog-y synth we've been building up. Turn the delays off, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn this, the C shaper on. Okay, so a nice grungy overdrive there, lovely. Now, the feedback and the pitch. Now you can hear what I mean there. As we're getting towards 50%, you can hear it starting to really ring and self-oscillate. If I take that past 50, we're going to get a whole world of howling. So for this one, I'm going to keep the feedback just under that 50-point mark. Okay, so that's a nice effect, but as I say, it's a little overwhelming. Obviously, you can balance it out with a dry and wet and use it to bring in sort of metallic tones in there. However, if we grab a hold of the pitch, that sounds to me an awful lot like a really fantastic old Electro Harmonix flanger pedal that I have. Now, old guitar pedal effects tend to have a load more sort of character and grunge than your standard digital multi-effects settings. And this, as soon as you start messing around with the pitch, turns into one of them. So what we're going to do is modulate that pitch. So let's use LFO2, it's not doing much. So pitch, LFO2. I'm going to change that sign to not a monophonic direction sign, but a bidirectional. It means it will sweep kind of both up and down either side of this pitch setting. So there we go, we've got a really, really dirty Savage flanger going there. And of course you can be shaping this with all the controls for the distortion section. Taking the top end out, bottom end out. Now, each one of these distortions has a different tone. So let's have a mess here. We've got the C shaper there. Let's try the W shaper. When you flick across, you're going to have to put the feedback back up. Which is kind of nice again. We've got, let's try the tube drive. And as well as all the distortions, also the tape EV. There's also a few of the things like the brassifier and the ring mod are also got this same little section in. Brassifier I recall being particularly with all of these, of course, once you've got it sounding how you want, just dry and wet balance it in. And as you can see there, while I'm just messing around with the other parameters while this is playing on the arpeggiator, notice that sweeping the shape on the brassifier is going to work as well. So again, you nip across to LFO section 3. Actually, we'll do this way. Assigning modulation to effects is actually really tricky in the menu list because as each effect will have different settings that are all just marked as control whatever. So top tip is always right-click the control in question and then stick it on that way. So LFO3, bit of a depth, loop. So now I've got LFO3 sweeping the shape, LFO2 sweeping the pitch, and you can hear that just a little bit of modulation of these effect sections, and they can be sort of as useful a sound creating tool, and certainly you can kind of keep sounds shifting and evolving just simply with this section. I mean, really underneath all this, we've just got, let's turn these two off. So there you go. That's a few different modulation tricks you can do inside the effects section. I've just been using LFOs there. In the preset pack I've worked on, I've also used envelopes, both the ADSRs and the GENV. You can even route keyboard tracking so that effects open up or close, or even you can kind of set tuning so that as you play up and down higher notes, these things that we're currently moving as flanges can be moved actually in steps in tune with the keys that you're playing. So, simple tip, just get into the effects section and start assigning controllers to the effects parameters.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.